This is FFPÖ, your primary source for Austrian film and TV critique, where two minds come together to take apart the work of people who actually matter. Welcome back to a new episode of FFPÖ. My name is Paul. I'm, as always, your gracious overlord and co-host of this here episode, because we have another guest here. But first, this is the 23rd episode recorded on the 31st of January 2017. And I have a lovely new co-host with me. It should have been two, but due to an accident, it's only one, but he's good anyways. It's
Adam Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Yeah. So
hi, Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, you're one of those double first name guys.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah,
the worst.
You can just call me Adam. Anyway, to say a little bit about myself.
Yes, introduce yourself, please. Let the people know who you are.
I'm from the United States, and I've been living in Austria since 2013.
Ooh.
So since then, I've been doing my homework about Austrian culture and trying to learn as much as I can. So
somebody who knows how to adapt to a new society.
That's right.
Integration plus.
Been putting in the time.
All right. Yeah. Very good.
Putting in the hard work.
Yes. And we watched together. We watched Sissi, die jungen Jahre einer Kaiserin, which translates into...
Yeah, that would be Sissi, the young years of an Empress, or Sissi, the young Empress, I guess.
Right,
I think
exactly.
that's how it's translated.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the second movie in a trilogy. Coincidentally, I did the first episode... the first movie I did with Christoph Fritz, another guy with two double first names as his name. So maybe I keep that rolling and have, I don't know, Johann Franz or something like that as the next guy.
or Franz Josef. If you get really lucky.
That would be amazing if somebody... It wouldn't be even somebody who speaks English, just somebody who is Franz Josef and he's here.
Yeah.
That would be enough to elevate this podcast to a higher level of being.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's move on to the first part of business, and that's plot. So go ahead. What is the plot? What is this movie all about?
So Sissi, the young Empress, is of course about the Emperor Elizabeth of Austria, who is emperor in the latter half of the 19th century. In the fictional world of the movie, she's having some issues with her stepmother.
Yep.
So the mother of her husband, Franz Josef, and I don't know. It's just sort of a generalized conflict. Like there's a conflict in the beginning when they have a falling out over the Hungarians.
First, the poem book. Well, her diary, which contains a poem.
So at the very beginning of the movie, we're introduced to Sissi and Franz and Franz's mother.
Yeah.
Franz's mother, the then Empress, takes Sissi's diary and reads a poem to Franz without Sissi knowing.
Mm-hmm. Some intrigue shit going on.
Yeah, so some major intrigue, people reading each other's diaries and stuff.
Saucy.
Very, very saucy. And
it's basically a high school musical at that point.
Basically a high school musical, people reading each other's secret diaries. Sissi finds out about this from Franz, and then isn't too happy with her mother-in-law. A few scenes later, we meet the count from Hungary, and Sissi invites this count from Hungary to a ball at the
one of the official balls.
One of the official balls at the Schönbrunn, which for those of you who may know Versailles is kind of like the Austrian knockoff of Versailles. So it was an imperial residence.
Yeah, can't get even mad at that because it's true.
In the outskirts of Vienna. I like to call it JV Versailles. Anyway, so the Hungarians come to JV Versailles, and Sissi's mother is very upset, or Sissi's mother-in-law is very upset because she's old and conservative of the older generation, and she sees the Hungarians as a bunch of rebels. Because
there was an uprising shortly before the movie happens, and the emperor has basically let a whole swath of Hungarians who were imprisoned, let them go for free, basically.
Yeah, so Sissi has granted amnesty to some of the Hungarian rebels. So this is sort of the backstory to the reason that Sissi's mother-in-law is so upset. Anyway,
because in the olden days we just stamped out the rebellion and killed everybody.
That's right. But yeah, I think the whole Austria and Hungary consolidated into one empire, I think in 1866, right? Yeah, and I think a lot of that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the historian, I'm the literary scholar, but I think it had to do with Austria, sort of the imperial power of Austria fading. Like, I think they
wanted to reinstate it and reinforce it through that.
Right. So they basically their position had eroded over the first half of the 20th century or the 19th century, and they saw a union with Hungary as a way to get back on top and consolidate some power. So Austria, I guess another part of the backstory is that the Habsburgs had been weakened a little bit, so maybe they couldn't just stamp out the Hungarians like they had before.
And France even mentions the French, that they are very close and always like trying to inch on the Austrian-Hungarian lands, basically.
Yeah, so a little bit of intrigue there too.
But it's very minor to the whole plot. It's like background for the drama between the stepmother and Sissi, basically, and Franz Josef being the ping pong ball between the two of them.
Right. Yeah. So geopolitics are really just a. I mean, in the context of the movie, geopolitics just form an excuse for this interpersonal drama. Really, the movie is just
that's the whole plot, basically.
It's just like a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law fighting with each other.
Yeah, and then Sissi got pregnant and had the baby in, I think, 60 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, that was a fast cooked baby. That was a microwave baby.
Yeah. So to jump ahead. So after they have a falling out at the Imperial Ball, sort of the next falling out they have is over
a dance.
So they have the falling out at the dance at the ball, and then they have a falling out over Sissi's baby. So so Sissi faints at the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we see then Sissi visits the doctor, and the doctor's like, you're not allowed to ride horses for the next few months. And Sissi's really disappointed about this, and she's like, oh, am I really like so destroyed from fainting at the ball? Like, I'm just a broken person. And then he's like, no, you're actually pregnant. And then she freaks out and runs and tells Franz, her husband.
In the least amount of clothing possible, which is still 2 very thick layers of clothing.
The most flowy sort of
robes.
Bed robes that you would see. And then jump ahead 5 seconds, and Sissi's given birth. It's 9 months later, and then everything's
Couldn't
great.
bother with the prosthetics for pregnancy.
They don't want to give her a
like
pillow.
They have to adapt all those dresses, and they're like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah, the costume department was just not having it. So what happens? Then is that.
Oh, and just for the listener. It seems choppy what we're talking about, but the jumps and the scenery jumps in general are so abrupt and like without any explanation in between or anything. It just they say something and then it happens in between scenes. and it's mostly a fade to black.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually remarked during the movie, I was like, wow, it almost seems like, I was like, I don't really see like an overall plot arc building up. It just kind of seems like one thing happening after another.
Right.
But I think that's just because the movie is, you know, it came out in 1956 and...
and they just made bank with the first one, so they just wanted to, you know, roll out another one because they knew that they would just from the success from the first one, they would make a killing with that one as well. Yeah. Yeah. So to roll up the plot, basically, they fight. She runs away. Franz runs after her. They reconciliate. Yeah. They share a few days, lovely days in the mountains. Mm-hmm. Then they move back. She's pissed and doesn't like it anymore. She wants to leave him, then she doesn't leave him because the Hungarian Duke berates her. Then let's move through this quickly because fuck this plot, really. Yeah. And then they go for a nice coronation to Hungary.
Yeah, the most consistent plot thread is the conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, but then there's also this subplot which is also forms the ending of the movie with sort of the Austria-Hungary relationship, but more specifically, the relationship between Sissi and the Hungarian people. Like the count from, what is the Hungarian count's name again?
Andrassy or something?
Andrassy. Count Andrassy is, you know, near the beginning of the movie, he's like, oh, the Hungarians just need, you know, a person that they can honor or something like that. Yeah. And he sort of repeats that over the course of the movie. He's like, oh, you know, it's less important to us that you grant us these political favors and just more important to us that we have, you know, this figurehead that we can worship, which is an absurd idea, like not how things work at all. And then, but I mean, yeah,
it works for the movie.
It works for the movie, you know. In the universe of this movie, it makes perfect sense somehow. Yeah. So the movie ends with Sissi traveling to Hungary, you know, after she reaffirms her commitment to her job as Empress, as young Empress,
and to Franz,
and her commitment to Franz,
and her mom talked to Franz's mom.
Yeah, that's another thing. So Sissi,
who are cousins, which again,
yeah,
but
yeah. So Franz's mother and Sissi's mother are cousins, and the way that their conflict between Sissi and Sissi's mother get resolved is Sissi's mother intervenes with Sissi's mother, between her and her mother-in-law, and sort of smooths things over because apparently they were friends back when they were children because they were cousins, which is weird.
Sure.
Some of the viewers might know that the Habsburgs had some. I mean, like all royal families
but the Habsburgs
they had some inbreeding.
Especially were very, very keen on marrying somebody who was related to them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we love doing that shit.
Yeah. So after Sissi reaffirms her commitment to her job and to her husband and all that, and makes peace with her mother-in-law, she rides to Hungary on sort of a convoy, and then
road trip.
And then you see Franz getting crowned, I guess, as the king of Hungary in a church, and then you see Sissi being crowned as the queen of Hungary in sort of a public square outside of the church, one of the things that stood out to me was the scene when they're riding from Vienna to, I assume, to Budapest. And all of these
probably, but it's in the middle of nowhere too. There's like this eroded castle, and you don't see anything else. Right. Again, very probably that they just shot it in Burgenland.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because again, 1955, going to Hungary a bit troublesome with the Soviets being around and stuff.
Yeah, I mean this movie came out in '56, which was the famous Hungarian uprising that was
exactly
violently crushed down put down by Stalin. So not ideal film conditions.
Yeah. And again, Burgenland, basically same countryside.
Yeah.
So you even have the eroded castles everywhere. So boom, there.
Yeah. Yeah, so as they're going to, allegedly Hungary,
Yeah.
really Burgenland,
I don't know.
I
assume.
probably.
It's probably on the IMDb.
There are all these peasants just running after the convoy, just like waving and just people running through the villages, like knocking on doors, being like the Empress, she's coming through, and it's like, I guess there wasn't much going on. It's like the most exciting thing that's happened in the past decades here.
Amazing. So, and that's he yells into the screen in his, I don't know, in a Hamlet kind of fashion, or some old from the same time period. There's one movie, I don't remember. I think it's a Stanley Kubrick one. I'm not sure anymore. Really old black and white movie that had basically the same shot in it.
Oh.
Yeah, only this one was in color. That was the difference.
Yeah.
And it was Karl-Heinz Böhm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not that knowledgeable about film, but
about film.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Film. Okay. Yeah, so I think that closes up pretty much with the plot.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say about the plot?
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, I think the whole child snatching thing was really I don't know if we made this clear earlier. So after Sissi gives birth, she's falling out with her mother-in-law over the upbringing of the child. The mother-in-law has declared herself the educator of the child. She says, "I'm going to educate this child," and Sissi's like, "No, you can't take my baby away." But the whole thing is weird because they all live in the same palace anyway, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's weird that the mother-in-law would just steal the child. That in itself is weird. But it's not like she took her far. She took her to a different room. So it seemed like a lot of drama. But I mean, it's contrived. It's a movie.
Yeah.
Suspension of disbelief.
Yep. Definitely. You have to have that to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to our next point, and that is cinematography.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just outed myself as somebody who isn't that knowledgeable about film, but I think cinematography was pretty advanced for the time period. I mean, aside from the awkward film cuts, or the awkward scene cuts, rather.
The sometimes the fade to black, sometimes not, where they just do a jump cut, basically.
Yeah.
I wrote it down at some point. What did I... God damn it. Just in bold letter. Jump cuts!
Yeah.
Because there were so many, I don't know, 2 minutes, there were 5 jump cuts or something like that. I'm like, stop doing that!
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah, but aside from the cuts, I felt like the shots themselves were,
Yeah. The lighting was impeccable. You really saw the main actors and actresses lit really well. You saw it mostly in the dresses and in with for example the ministers with the gold leaf jackets. It didn't blind the camera, and doing that is not an easy feat to properly light out a room, and it was filmed apparently in Schönbrunn, so you don't even have this control of a stage, and you can't just put bolts in the wall in Schönbrunn to hang some lights. I think that somebody would be pissed off there, even in 1955.
Yeah, there were also some outside of the castle. There were some nice scenes in the Austrian Alps.
The scenery shots are as good as in the first movie, definitely.
Yeah,
From the panorama shot of the Alps with the clouds hanging between the mountains.
Yeah,
that was pretty dope. That was a good piece of Austrian tourism propaganda.
That's right. Yeah, that's sort of the essence of what's called the Heimatfilm in German.
Oh, yes.
So I don't know, maybe you want to say a few words about what the Heimatfilm is.
Do an outside explanation.
So the Heimatfilm, for the uninitiated, is sort of a historical genre of films that came out of, I mean, not just Austria, but also Germany, mostly post-war. Yeah, post World War II.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, I mean, it's pretty easy. I mean, it's pretty easy to read it from like a psychological standpoint. Like, I think a lot of them are sort of historical escapism.
Oh, yes.
You know, people.
To a better time.
Yeah. So, you know, you have movies set in the 19th century back when, you know,
First World War didn't happen
back
yet.
before the First World War, before the advent of modernity and, you know, all sort of the fissures and the cracks and the order that came with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like the most modern piece of technology they have around is photography and Morse code.
Yeah, the Morse code thing. Yeah, that was by far I think the most
sending telegraphs.
Yeah,
that was a big plot point that the Guardian, the colonel was sending a telegraph back home.
Yeah, and he was going about it as if he was telling the telegraph transmitter to like be quiet, to like type quieter. Like, what was that all about?
So
like, as if somebody's gonna
if
somebody's gonna listen in. I don't think that's how telegrams work, but yeah, I guess that was, you know, another like comedic
the
point. Supposed to be comedy. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, also you know, I imagine it was probably a great deal of effort to get on. Well, I don't know, maybe not maybe 1950 had like, you know, the help of, you know, obviously cars and but to get all the camera equipment up to like the top of a mountain and film people on the top of a mountain, you know, must have been a lot of effort to do that and a lot of,
Well, I guess if you're gonna do cinematography in the mountains, you would rather do it in Austria, because you already have the camera teams and all that stuff that are like, who already have dealt with that kind of situation.
Right.
Like, you won't shoot a mountain scene with a team from Berlin.
Yeah.
Like, those guys just gonna die. Like, two cameramans just falling down a mountain cliff.
Yeah.
Like,
they wouldn't stand a chance.
Yeah. Exactly. So I guess it's very serviceable, using amazing 4:3 film. Again, we watched the digitally remastered edition, so I don't really have like a pegging system between that and the film version. I should watch it for comparison sometime with like a 20mm or a 30mm film roll, if something like that is still around, probably. But yeah, it's such special showings happen like not at all nowadays. You only can watch it on TV basically, or on DVD. Yeah. So that I think closes up cinematography, and we can move on to sound. So they used quite a bunch of music in this one compared to the first one, at least. But there were also scenes where they apparently couldn't afford music or background, anything, and it was just silence and somebody talking.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest differences between, you know, you watch a movie from like the 50s or the 60s and a movie that comes out today. And in a movie that comes out today, unless it's like an art movie where it's intentionally left out, there's like, you know, a lot of tone music. Yes. But back then there was no such thing as tone music. Whenever there was music, it was like an orchestral flourish. Right. When something really dramatic would happen.
Yeah, like a bunch of wild horses.
Yeah. Or like
stampeding down the Hungarian plains.
Yeah, or you have the, you know, the scenes in the churches where an organ is being played.
Oh yeah.
But other than that,
I expected Inagata the Vida at some point, but I was some Iron Butterfly, but I was sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
That's a 1967 joke for you guys. FFP keeping it fresh since 1904. I don't know. I have no idea. But I don't know. For me, I don't think they used ADR, or if they used it, it wasn't noticeable.
Yeah.
Like there were no after studio recorded lines. I think at least. I'm not sure.
I have no idea. I mean, it didn't look like they did. So I guess
because in some situation the shooting must have been pretty tough, like recording sound, like the outside shots on mountains, getting like then you will have to record every time when there was no wind or something like that as well. So that would have been a very troublesome shoot in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So props to that, I guess.
Yeah.
For because there's some I reviewed some movies and shows from that time period, and some of the ADR can be grueling because sometimes they don't get the same actor back and they have somebody else speak the lines, which takes you completely out of the whole thing. And yeah, they did a good job, I think, with the sound in general. The only thing that I wrote down was, again, the stampeding horses at the end with the really, like the most upbeat music that they used to this point, and then they intercut it with the choir singing while bags of dirt are piled up and it looks very dramatic.
Yeah.
Like that was a weird clash between the two scenes.
Yeah, that definitely was. And yeah, the sound didn't help there either. It didn't really like smooth things over.
Nope. It added to the mystery of what the guy on the cutting room floor was doing.
Right.
Do you have anything else about the sound or anything
no
in particular that stands out to you?
Yeah.
Maybe that the subtitles were weird.
Oh, the subtitles, yeah. I mean, they deserve like a special mention.
Yes.
Just like adding to the comedic effect. I mean, most people who see, well, I mean,
you would get the gist.
Yeah. Was this streamed from the internet or
No, that's a DVD.
It was a DVD. Okay, yeah. So whatever copy of this DVD, I don't know when it came out or whatever. But the subtitles were just god awful. Like,
yeah.
Like half of them weren't even well, a lot of them weren't even grammatically correct, and just like the ones that were had just the weirdest translations. Like they translated
mistranslated words. But again, you would still get the gist of the movie.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you could definitely watch the movie and understand what's happening. I mean, the movie is not even something else that is maybe worth mentioning about the sound is that it's not even really that dialogue driven of a movie.
Right.
Like it's pretty easy to understand what's happening with the pretty minimal dialogue that does exist.
But they didn't bother to translate the Hungarians.
Yeah, that
when they're talking in their own language.
Yeah. When the Hungarians get angry at the Austrians for being rude, and then they yell at each other in Hungarian about how rude the Austrians are. We never actually learn what they're saying.
Nope.
So a little bit of mystery.
Yeah. And we have some local dialects as well.
That's right. There's
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So there's when in the scene where they go hiking in the mountains, they encounter a snowstorm and they have to go seek shelter in an inn or a hut in the mountains, and the hut is operated by this guy in Tyrol who speaks in a Tyrolean dialect, and it's a really thick dialect, and you can hardly understand what they're saying.
Yeah, normally something like that would be subtitled nowadays, even in like normal German.
Yeah.
No, amazing that they put somebody like that in there. That's not easy to do nowadays, to have somebody with that thick of an accent in there. Yeah.
For the those who might not know Austria as well, as a rule of thumb, the deeper you get into the mountains, the harder people get to understand.
Yeah, totally true. I can watch that. But also, there's some people from Burgenland.
That's true.
And from there are some.
Actually, everybody speaks dialect.
But the dialect varies in the regions themselves. Like you have somebody who has a dialect that is hardly noticeable, like myself, or somebody who has such a thick accent or thick dialect that's just I even have sometimes trouble understanding those people. Yeah, if they don't bother to use at least some common Austrian words instead of their really, really special words. Yeah. And they even made fun of that in well, not fun of him for the dialect, but for Franz Josef for not understanding them, even though those are your people.
Yeah.
You can't even understand the people that you reign, which is really funny to me.
Yeah. Sissi has some line where she basically says that to Franz, in order to make fun of him. Yeah, that was pretty goofy. Something else that was goofy. This isn't related to sound, but after they returned from their mountain trip, Sissi's mother-in-law is like to Franz and Sissi, like, how could you be gone for so long? The people are angry at you because like you haven't been around, and like, you know, their emperor and empress like need to be around, or you know, they get antsy or something to that effect. It's like the people don't care, but it was I mean, again, suspension of disbelief.
What should we do with
what should we do with our royals? I don't know what to do with myself.
The common folks don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Except for the ones that are like reading Die ganze Woche or something like that. That's an Austrian joke for you guys. All right.
Yeah. Oh, and on the point of the common people, Franz and Sissi, when they were in the mountains, they said, "Oh, we just love being here because it's like we're incognito, like nobody knows who we are." So again, you know, I don't know if that was supposed to be a reflection on, oh, the people here are so like, you know, they're so rural that they're just like so cut off from civilization, or maybe a commentary on the fact that photography wasn't like very widespread back then, and you know, people wouldn't know what they looked like. I don't know, but
anyway. Totally. That could be well, or so, again, it's it's because of the how the mountains work for tourism and stuff like that. When you go up the hut, you normally stay there for the 6 months or 8 months. So the guy wouldn't normally not get any letters or anything or newspapers up there normally. So my best guess would be that he just doesn't know yet that they're together or something like that, or didn't have a chance yet. Or again, he's just an idiot. There are a lot of possibilities here. But let's move on to the next point, and that's best moments. What was your best moment? What did you enjoy?
So my favorite moment in the movie was actually when they were in the mountains, and Sissi sees the summit. On the summits of Austrian or on the peaks of Austrian mountains, there's always a cross, so you know where the peak is. And Sissi is just so excited by the sight of the summit that she goes to run up to it and touch it. And somebody in their entourage goes, "Sissi, no, you're not wearing the proper shoes." And I was just like, that's actually something, like, I'm pretty sure that's like totally an Austrian thing to say. Like, I'm pretty sure people have said that to me when I was hiking in the mountains here.
60 years later, nothing's changed.
Like there could be snow up at the top. Like, are you sure you want to go up in those like normal like shoes that you're wearing? Like, so made me chuckle.
For me, just because it was such a nice piece of character building, was the scene relatively at the beginning where Sophia, the mother of Franz Josef, stepmother of Sissi, gets some information from the Countess of Esterhazy, and again, she is the Empress mother, but the other one is still a countess, and she's ordering her around, and just like, open this drawer, and the drawer is like closer to her, like she's right next to the drawer, and she says, "Open it, please." And she like makes her do anything, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's the douchebag. That's who we should hate in this movie." And that worked perfectly. I think it established her as a nosy, interruptive, intrigue building, just obnoxious person.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very well executed in that scene.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And she was like, oh, you don't like the yells from the parrots that Sissi brought? Well, tough titties. You have to deal with those, not me. And
Yeah.
she's like, something snap
Yeah,
finger.
a lot of sassiness going on.
Yeah. Yeah, she was definitely the sassiest of them all. Next to, of course, the coquettishness of Sissi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're two sides of the same coin.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Some deep symbolism buried in this movie. I bet you find some Illuminati symbols in there and something like that.
Of course.
Some American propaganda.
That's
probably.
Right. Of course. To give this movie a little bit of context, was this an Austrian production?
Oh yeah, this is Austrian through and through.
Okay.
With a few German actors.
Yeah. So
strewn in between.
If any native English speakers are listening and who might be familiar with The Sound of Music, in terms of sort of visual effect and visual language, this movie looks a lot like The Sound of Music.
Totally.
It's less. I mean, there's less music in it, and it's actually made by Austrians.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Visually, it's sort of like a sibling of The Sound of Music. I would say. Yeah.
Again, movies of the same era.
Same era. Yeah.
Wanted to show you the same landscape and the same basic feeling that you should get when you think about Austria.
Yeah. So almost like a tourism advertisement for the country. It's super kitschy, but
so kitschy.
Worth seeing just for its historical. I mean, because it's such a sort of cultural product of an era.
And it's a staple of Austrian filmmaking. They perfectly, in my opinion, represent the Heimat film.
Yeah,
they are definitely, and they are basically the mainstay. If you have any Heimat film, if you ever want to do a Heimat film evening with your friends and family, go for Sissi, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to second to last, the secrets segment of the show, and that is swankiest dresser. Because damn, there were some good clothing options in this movie.
There were a lot of good clothing
men
options.
And women.
Yeah,
both.
yeah.
Like even the Bavarian father of Sissi, even he, who was generally portrayed more of a mountain trollish kind of roots person, he had some clothing on that was like that suit in that one scene. That was some damn fine craftsmanship right there.
Yeah, that was actually weird because so this character normally wears like Tracht, so like the
traditional
traditional people's clothing.
Yeah,
like this very traditional jacket with like green lapels and like wooden buttons and sort of like the high socks and like leather pants and all that.
People just look up any Bavarian politician from 1950 to today, and you will like find somebody with a Tracht on.
That's right. And he has like the weird like Peter Pan looking hat.
I totally don't make that association.
Yeah, that's the association that I make as an American.
That's
anyway,
awesome.
So in this one scene, he's just wearing this paisley sport coat that actually looked weirdly like out of. I mean, it looked like something you would wear in, like some like person in an office in the 1970s would be wearing. Right. That was like slightly anachronistic, but
maybe it could be like because there were some like in the mid to, I think it started in the early late 1800s and continued to the late 1900s, and that was like a resurgence of Turkish and Indian art and clothing, and maybe that was like his Today I'm wearing the exotic coat.
Yeah. Just either way, just a man ahead of his time, a real
Oh, yeah.
trendsetter, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Again, they were the most progressive.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, so in this, and sort of I guess so you have Sissi's family who's from Bavaria, and then you have Franz's family who's from Austria, Vienna, and it's like the Austrians are the conservatives and the Bavarians are the liberals, or the progressives,
So funny.
which is just hilarious for so many reasons.
So funny. If you have any idea about Bavarian and Austrian relationships, you would find this shit hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who else had? I mean,
the Hungarian count.
The Hungarian count
had some
a very
really
fashionable guy.
Yeah, he dressed to the nines would be an understatement. Dressed to the tens.
Dressed to the tens.
Yeah.
He had a nice head of like curly hair too.
Oh yeah, the hairdress apartment definitely knew their shit. They beginning with Franz Josef, his hair was always on point. I don't know, that hair didn't move.
That hair did not move. He had a perfect part, just like that was always fixed and.
Yeah.
Even, he will...
if he used rubber cement or something to,
Yeah, there was one scene...
the whole thing.
In the mountain scene where he's hiking, he gets like a little bit windswept, and then, in the very next minute, it's like back to normal.
Yeah, he has regenerative hair.
That's right.
Like, he used nanotechnology repair tools before they were even invented.
Just another man ahead of his time.
Yeah. The whole movie is actually a sci-fi movie.
Speaking
alternative history sci-fi movie.
That's right. Speaking of hair, Sissi's hair was super impressive.
Oh yeah.
She had this like massive braid.
Yeah. You could kill a person with that braid.
Yeah, it's very intimidating.
If she whipped her hair back and forth.
Yeah. It was like
she would have killed like at least 2 adjutants and like 1 security officer.
Yeah,
at least.
Absolutely. It was this massive rope.
From could be from what was the movie with the Rapunzel? Yeah, could totally have been Rapunzel.
Yeah.
Scenario at some point.
Definitely.
Yeah. Or maybe Franz Josef just enjoys strangling. I don't know. Hey, if you're inbred royal family with basically absolute power for 500 years, you're gonna develop some weird sexual preferences.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not doing it right.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm looking at you, British. Where's your next sex scandal? It has been 3 years? The dick in the mouth from the MP doesn't count. He's not royal.
Yeah, no, didn't they just have a really bad scandal that came to light about MPs and
again, that's
pedophilia? MPs. Okay, so you're more interested in the royals.
Yeah. Again,
okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but David Cameron's not a royal. I mean, David Cameron was just the prime minister. Anyway, they were getting off track.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that was the last thing that I remember. That doesn't even fit.
And it doesn't even count.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. True.
Where are the gangbangs, British?
Yeah.
Where are they? But maybe they're just too polite for it. They just walk into the room. Oh, sorry, see 2 naked people. And that's why there's no British threesome. Yeah. Because the third person walks in is very feels already 2 British people probably feel very weird having sex with each other. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Pardon me, ma'am. Oh, I feel my rubber hat has slipped off. Okay, so for me it would be a draw just because I really love the minister's clothing. I find that gold leaf on black, I think it was black, right?
Yeah.
Gold leaf on black just looks amazing. And they were 6 different ministers in the room, and they all had slight variations of the same uniform. and they were like the coolest boy band ever at that point. Like, Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Lonely Hearts Club
Yeah.
Band. Oh yeah,
Doesn't
no,
it
they actually
had
looked like that.
shit on that.
Yeah.
And they were already dressed amazingly, and a draw again between them and the Count, because I would wear stuff like that if I if I had the money,
Yeah.
because the gold alone, maybe that's their training. It just the whole dress weighs like 50 pounds.
Oh yeah. After that, you don't need to do any sports.
Yeah, you just get winded just from standing up.
Yeah.
For you, what would you choose?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would probably go with Sissy.
Yeah.
And her dad. Clearly, fashion sense runs in the family.
Yeah. She didn't get it from the mother, because their mother was dressed from one bland dress to the next one.
She was boring. She had boring clothes. But
she's the most interesting personality, but she was the most boring dresser.
That's true. But the dad was a very interesting dresser, and Sissy also had some style, and her hair was really good.
Yeah. Thank you for that accurate description. All right, let's move on to our last bit of business, and that is final conclusion. So would you recommend this movie to other people? Who would you recommend it for? What scenario? What would you imagine would be the perfect setting that you would recommend it to somebody, or not recommend it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said before, it's definitely a movie of, historic importance, just in terms of it being a cultural artifact of a specific era.
Right.
So, anybody who wants to be a film buff or wants to learn something about Austria, I'd recommend it to those demographics. Maybe you're going to Austria, or maybe you're maybe you're moving to Austria and you want to learn a little bit about Austrian culture, or maybe you just want to see a famous 20th century film, or maybe you're watching it, or maybe you recommend it to sort of the older crowd. Like, I'd never seen this movie, but my mother-in-law loves this movie.
Okay.
Not my mother-in-law, my grandmother-in-law loves this movie. She's 92 years old. And my mother,
she saw it when she was in her late 20s, early 30s, probably.
Probably, but
wow.
my mother-in-law puts it on for her
That's
every.
That's the same age I'm now.
Yeah.
That I watched this movie.
Yeah, pretty wild to think about. My mother-in-law puts it on for my grandmother-in-law every Christmas, and it's good because I guess she gets bored easily, but there are the scenes change pretty quickly. Plus there are 3 movies, so it's after you're done with one, you just put on the other one.
Yeah, and it's drama with no stakes.
It's low stakes drama. It's incredibly apolitical. It's like there are politics, but the politics are really pointless. It's
don't be bad to the people.
It's
I'm gonna be bad to the people. No, don't be. All right.
Yeah.
Done.
Exactly. Geopolitics are reduced to somebody being rude to somebody else at a ball.
Yeah. And they are offended and they want to leave.
Yeah. It's all just etiquette and manners and who's rude to who or who's nice to who.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't. If that movie would be made today, it would have some offensively gay stereotype guy in the background crying drama at every 5 seconds, basically.
Yeah. You don't think that character was you don't think there was a character like that in this one? Actually, I guess there wasn't.
No, I wish.
Yeah.
Or some talking animal sidekick that was
oh yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, that would be more like if it were a Disney movie.
It is very close to a Disney movie.
It's very close to it. It's almost like a proto Disney. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Disney was making movies at this
same
time.
period, yeah.
Yeah.
So they
but
fed off each other, definitely.
yeah. I mean, it's more for adults and less for kids, but it's like it's very much a PG or even
Yes.
a G movie.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, I wouldn't
Hard
necessarily.
pegging.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily like not recommend it for like people of a younger age. I could totally see this being like a really fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
You know, like with your buddies, like maybe get like smoke
yeah.
some weed and like I don't know, sort of watch it ironically.
In those countries that it's legal.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I could see some like, you know, if you're with your friends and you want to like
Make
you
a
know,
drinking
have
game
a
out
laugh.
of
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of good drinking game possibilities with this too.
it. Yeah. Every time you see gold, drink.
Yeah.
Every time there's...
that'll make it a little dangerous.
Yeah. You're gonna die. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
Definitely. Every time Sissi saves France,
Yeah.
also dead.
Yeah.
So you would recommend this movie under certain circumstances,
Yeah.
not just as a regular watch though.
No,
Right?
I think if you go into it with like, you know, a very like conscious attitude of like what it is and you do it with a little bit of irony, then it's
For somebody
really
who's
fun.
an outsider, would it make sense to watch the first one first? Because this is the second one.
Yeah, so I mean I haven't seen the first one, I just saw this and
Yeah.
it's not like I wasn't able to follow what was happening. So
Right.
I mean, I think you could just watch the second one cold. I mean, I'm assuming if the third one's anything like the second, it's probably the same with the third one. So yeah.
Well, the plot didn't really change from the first to the second movie.
Yeah.
In that it had barely any in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Adam, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having
your
me.
plugs, where can people find you? Links is in the description below, of course, but please go ahead. Where can people find you? What do you do?
So you can find me on Twitter
Ooh.
at
Those Americans. It's
yeah.
mostly Americans that have Twitter.
what do Austrians have? Facebook? Or,
Yeah, that's basically
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess Twitter's the place to find me. At Schalma halt my.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
He'll write
gonna be
it
in
in
the. It's
yeah.
gonna be in the description. You're
Yeah.
gonna write it down here.
Exactly.
Somewhere else? Do you have YouTube or anything like that?
No, just Twitter. I'm not even that active on it really, but maybe I'll try to be just for everybody who listens.
Just
to
for the
this
podcast.
Yeah.
Get some cross pollination started.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you again for being here. I hope we will see you again at some point. Maybe
Yeah, that'd be
a
great.
double feature
Yeah.
with Tommy or somebody else. I want to intermix a bit, see what's happening there.
Sure.
Also, good networking opportunity between comedians in Vienna, which is sorely needed.
Yeah.
People, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, and every podcasting platform known to man. I hope we will see and hear each other in the next episode. Bye!
Bye bye.